In this video, I'll demonstrate how to configure a Windows Radius server. So a Radius server then is a centralized authentication host. And to make that happen on a Windows Server 2012 R2 machine, we need to make sure we have the network policy server role installed. So here in PowerShell on my Windows computer, I'm going to run the get-windows feature command, and I'm going to pad the word policy with wildcard asterisk symbols. In other words, to get a list of Windows features that contain the word policy. And here we can clearly see, in fact, that the network policy server role is installed because there's an X in the box. So the next thing we will do then is start the network policy server GUI tool to configure the Radius server. So from my Windows Start menu, I'm going to search for the word network, and when the network policy server tool shows up, I'm going to go ahead and click on it. So this is the tool then that we use when we want to configure our network policy server, or specifically our Windows Radius server. So in the network policy server tool, the first thing I'm going to do over on the left is expand the list of Radius clients. Now the idea here is I have to define one or more Radius clients that will forward authentication requests to this Radius server. So by virtue of this server having this software installed and being connected to Active Directory, it can act as a Radius authentication server. So in the left-hand navigator, I'm going to click on Radius Clients, which is underneath Radius Clients and Servers. And we see on the right that we don't have any Radius clients defined. Now remember, a Radius client is not the end user trying to connect to the network, for instance, through a VPN, through an Ethernet switch, or through a wireless router. Instead, the Radius client is the edge point network device, like the VPN appliance or the wireless router, or the Ethernet switch. So they have to be added here so that they are known by the Radius server. So I'm going to right-click on Radius Clients and choose New. And for this first name, I'm going to call it VPN Appliance 1. And I'm going to go ahead and pop in the IP address of my VPN appliance. Now down below, I'm going to manually put in a shared secret that I have to configure on the VPN appliance. This is used for the VPN appliance to authenticate to this Radius server. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Let's add another one. I'm going to right-click on Radius Clients in the left-hand navigator again and choose New. This time I'm going to call this one Wireless Access Point, or WAP 1. And in the same way, I'll put in the IP address, but notice I could put in the actual DNS name of that host if it's configured. And once again, I can configure either the same or a different shared secret. You'll notice that we can build a template where this stuff is just selectable from the list. So if we know we're going to configure dozens of VPN or wireless access point clients with the same shared secret, maybe it makes sense to build the template first. But here I've only got two, so I don't mind popping in the same shared secret. And I'll go ahead and click on OK. So now at this point, we've actually got our Windows Radius server configured along with two VPN clients. Now, if we didn't have the network policy role installed, we could either use the Server Manager GUI to do it, or here in PowerShell, let's just search for PowerShell and fire it up. Instead of the get-windows feature commandlet, we would use the install-windows feature commandlet, followed by the name of the specific component that we wish to install. And remember, if you're not sure about what the nomenclature is for this stuff, just go ahead and search for it like this. So get-windows feature, again, I'm going to search for the word policy. I'm just guessing it's network policy server. And of course, you need to spell things correctly. It's get Windows feature, not window. We can see that it's called, over here under the name column, npass-policy server. So that's what we would use with the install-windows feature commandlet if we needed to install the software if it's not already there. In this video, we learned how to configure a Windows Radius server.